We can scale up and down as we need to. I can scale right back to myself as a freelancer, or scale right up to where I was before with 10 staff. So we let half our team go, unfortunately, on we put them on leave, on paid leave, and I have to admit, it is one of the most heartbreaking things you can do as a business owner. But look, it is what it is, and yeah, we've done what we can to make it work. So let's bring that back. Yeah, so we're back on track. Very optimistic, and hopefully from the content you'll be seeing today, you'll see why I believe now, for anyone that's in sales, for anyone that's perhaps running their own organization that's looking to grow, now is a perfect opportunity to get on board and just find new opportunity, right? Okay. So as I've mentioned before, we're continuing to work from our self-quarantine homes, and I get it. Social distancing is the need of the hour, but the economy has to go on. It just has to, right? I can give my own experience. My last sales call yesterday, another set of reasons, why my prospect client cannot move forward. COVID-19 has frozen all budgets. This is pushed out till next year. Sorry, but my position as marketing or managing director was made redundant, and so on, right? It all just seems doom and gloom when we're on these sales calls. There's always a reason to delay. As much as the pain is there, there's always a high-end kind of a thing that's thrown in that puts sort of a spanner in the works that's delaying a lot of projects. Because let's face it, most tech companies, vendors, and companies around the world generally are focusing on existing clients, and net new's kind of being put on hold, or investment in new technologies is also just put on hold temporarily while we sort of get on top of what's happening out there. Okay. Most of us have experienced some form of pain over the last 2 to 3 months. In a lot of respects, I can say a lot of the big shake-up has made a lot of us feeling a little bit dizzy, and then we're still a bit dizzy after all of this. Yeah, look, some industries such as aviation have fallen straight over a cliff. Others have experienced some sort of pain. The world has not seen an event like this in the last 100 years. This will certainly reign across history for years, and our children and children's children will be talking about this for years and years to come, right? But as I've mentioned before, the world must go on. B2B business needs to continue in order for the economy to jumpstart and regrow. It's very important that we realize that. Anyway, moving on. Okay. A world of pain. Now, it may seem like I'm just focusing on some of the negative aspects, but what I'd like to do is just recap some of that. And I can probably relate to this chap here who looks, he's certainly got the look of love on his face, or not love, as some may see it. But I can certainly relate to that when after a chat with me and my business partner, we had to let half our staff go, and we did the numbers, and it's certainly not a nice look after a few years of successful growth. And I can imagine that chap's feeling exactly the same thing as stocks maybe started plummeting. Look, the photo may seem a bit extreme, but the reality is, when this first happened a few months back, we were all in a bit of panic mode, okay? And as I've mentioned before, every single human being on this planet has experienced at least some form of hardship, whether it's job losses, shares, rent issues, and whatever else it may be, right? It's created a giant ripple effect on the economy, right? In terms of business, we've seen job redundancies. We've had friends that have been let go. We've seen hiring freezes. We've seen budget freezes, and the list goes on and on. Most companies have simply pushed a giant pause button on net new business activities and went straight into continuity strategy planning, with the key focus being directed on existing clients, right? So when will this end, I guess? When will we see an end to this? I mean, when will B2B business return to some sort of normality? And I don't know about you, but if you're a rep, a sales rep, a business owner, or a sales director, we've all got KPIs to meet, and those KPIs still need to be met in order for the company to grow and that company to keep our jobs safe and active. And if you're running a company, in order for you to eat, we need to close new business, right? We can't just rely on existing business forever. That will certainly drop off to some extent, okay, and needs replacing. But really, the answer is simple. When will normality continue? The sooner we start pushing the economy forward and start investing in new business services, technology, marketing services, the sooner the economy will jumpstart back to action. we need to come off pause and smash that play button with all our strength, right? So what do I mean by that? We need to start, if you're in sales, or you're a tele prospect or whatever it is, you need to continue prospecting, continue doing what you do and do it well. If you're a business owner, you need to invest in new technology. If you're a company that's been holding off a cloud migration strategy, for example, or a storage backup strategy, start looking at doing that. Start investing into the company. Negotiate with your vendors on price, all that sort of stuff. That's great. But in order for us to get this economy restarted and get the sales engines boosted again, people need to start investing and buying again, right? And I'm starting to see that across Australia. I have to admit there is a bit more of a positive strain I see with organizations where they are looking at investing. I'm not saying they are, but if you look at cloud is probably one of the strongest industries out there. Hasn't been too much affected, depending on what you're selling. And there's certainly some opportunities that have happened within the Australian market that have opened up new doors as well. Okay, so why now? Why should we be focusing on this now? Why not 2 weeks ago? Why not a month ago? Why don't we just wait a couple of months and, or 3 months to when things will get better? The reality is it won't, unless people start making, like, the action starts now, right? It's the downturn has just gone on for too long, right? The longer we leave it, the more damage it's going to create, okay? Now, is it due to the fact that around the world lockdowns are now easing a bit, and perhaps giving more freedom to people? Yeah, probably. People's confidence is improving. Their attitudes are getting better, right? They're feeling more positive, right? And that's really, really important in this day and age. It's really critical, because that improves business, that improves the economy, and that means more people start investing. Now, our companies now realizing that unless they find net new business, they simply cannot regain their growth. And that's very true, right? So let's just say you're an ERP vendor and your sales cycles are 6 months to 12 months. And if you're running low on pipeline, any pipeline that you generate now, all right, is not going to close for 3 to 6 months, okay? Now, is that going to be enough to sustain your role, sustain your business? I don't know, right? But what's important is we start that early, right? And, yes, you may have a great inbound engine, digital marketing, a bunch of SDRs and all that sort of stuff. Doesn't really matter how you generate your leads, as long as you do it for a number of different channels, right? But one thing that's clear is, with the tech industry being an average of 30 to, let's say, 60 to 120 days in terms of sales cycles, in terms of new solutions and investment and all the stuff you've got to do on the actual presentation, on the actual sales cycle rather, in order to get that sale closed, implementation, support. It's really critical that we make a start as soon as possible to build up pipeline and new opportunities. Now, one thing that I've personally noticed is, and I don't know if anyone else noticed the same thing, and you're gonna have to give me a sec, guys. I'm trying to track down where my questions have disappeared to, so give me a second. Okay, just checking everyone can hear me okay. So let's continue. Now, where was I? Now, yes, you may have all noticed during March and April, we had a surge of marketing material. Maybe some are noticing it now, as opposed to before. But for me personally, I have never received so many emails inviting me to Zoom conferences, so many, emails just about general investments or whatever it may be, right? I felt like I was being bombarded. And to be honest, I probably bombarded a lot of you guys, a lot of people in my network with my own material, because I think that's what everyone decided, that they just felt like the right thing to do. Less phone stuff. Let's get stuff out via email. Let's not bombard people too much via voice and call too many people, because everyone's in a world of pain, right? Whatever the reason is, right? I kind of felt like that March and April were massive in Australia when it came to marketing material. Maybe we're all thought, we've got to be inventive. Sales have slowed. How are we going to fix this? Let's get some. I mean, I did a whole bunch of presentations on, getting people set up working from home. How do you do that? But so did every other bugger on the planet. So it was a bombardment of information. So I guess what I've noticed now, and I don't know if anyone has noticed the same, marketing seems like it's significantly reduced. I haven't seen any of these emails or Zoom conferences in the last few weeks, which is a bit odd. Let's say in the last 3 weeks, especially in the last week, it seems like companies are running out of ideas on what material to publish. Vendors seem to have gone a little bit quieter than normal. Sales traffic is also slowing across the board, with most business owners trying to solve their own problems. Yes, we get it, and focusing on their helping their existing clients with their problems. Okay, and that's still happening now, even though net new might start being look it's starting to look like it's opening up. The reality is it's quiet out there. Okay, and the only way to really make it less, to improve that situation, as hard as it's going to be, it's not going to be easy, is to improve the amount of activities that we're doing and generate more opportunities from utilizing, like I said, back to the title of my presentation, picking up the phone, talking to people, talking to your network, talking to your relationships, your existing relationship, talking to your vendors, talking to new people, net new, cold call people you've never spoken to before, turn it into a warm call, use LinkedIn Navigator, find out what they're doing. We need to shake it up, right, to take on board new opportunities. Now is the perfect opportunity to get your sales engine started and think about where you and your company want to be in the next 6 to 12 months, right? It's probably not the best time to go and jump ship to another company right now. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe it doesn't matter if you've got a job already. The reality is you don't know what the grass on the other side is. Certainly the risk factor of taking that new grass is certainly increased because we just don't know. I mean, to give you my personal experience, I thought the large vendors would have survived most of this no problem, especially the cloud vendors. Now, I'm not going to mention any names, and these aren't clients of mine, but some of the vendors that I've been speaking to, some of the things that have happened internally to them have really, really shocked me. So companies that were top Gartner, top of their field in terms of the Gartner and all that sort of stuff, very well known billion-dollar companies, again, no names mentioned, the things that I've seen in terms of cutbacks, closed down regions, has really blown me away. And some of the things I've seen in smaller organizations where I thought, oh, there's no chance that vendor will last. They're tiny and they're experiencing issues before, are actually now booming. So it's a very uncertain playing field now in terms of changing jobs, in terms of many factors. So it's important that we look at that as well when we look at sort of how we generate new opportunities. Now, one thing that is for sure in Australia, we are heading to the end of financial year, okay? Budgets, people have budgets to spend. Get hold of them as much as possible, as small as those budgets may be. Try and get hold of whatever's out there, okay? In Australia, strategy planning is already underway. To grow sales, and companies are taking a serious look at how they can take back some of those losses, right? Like, honestly, I'm hearing that, I'm seeing that. I'm booking meetings for July. I'm booking face-to-face events in November and August, right? Or say August and September and November and October. Now that seems like it's miles away. Who cares? Let's get this started, because if you don't get there, your competitors are going to jump on that before you, right? So start thinking like 3-6 months ahead. It may not bring in the cream of the crop. It may not make your manager happy right now, or your company, your CEO, or as a business owner, you may be thinking, well, can I survive 3 months without net new? The only way you're going to be able to survive is to generate pipeline now and get more sales. If it's for your existing customers, that's great. You still need net new at some point. So start planning 3 months, 6 months ahead, because we're going to get out of this. Australia lockdown is already started to ease. I'm in the Philippines, right? We're still locked down, but I know at some point we're going to be out of this lockdown. So our hold up on buying our property has actually given us a better opportunity and more power to get a better deal on that property. But we're not able to move house for probably two more months, right? So we're still planning it. We're still planning the remove list. We're still planning everything prior to that, because it's going to happen. So once we get out this lockdown, I see a lot of opportunities coming up once we're allowed to do face-to-face meetings again. So, once there's a 2 to 4 to 6 to 10 people, maybe that's already the case. I'm not so switched on to where we are with the lockdown in Australia, but once they start allowing events, I see a lot of agencies like mine and other organizations prospering once again, right? Now, Another thing to take into account is the economy has also opened up new doors for those brave enough to venture into them. Now, I'm not sure if anyone on here sells cloud-based technologies. I'm pretty much sure most people do, but I'm sure you're all aware that the Australian government has pretty recently announced the deregulation of cloud technologies, which opens up a $2 to $5 billion market within the government. I think that's huge. Now, I know it wasn't always it wasn't always stuck to two or three vendors, but it certainly was a lot more challenging when I remember my times in technology and working for tech and selling cloud to sell into government in Australia previously. Now there's new opportunities. So that's one example of an opportunity to why why we should start getting on the phone now. Okay. Vendor changing. Now, guys, this is a really, really, really important point. If anything, this is probably the most valid point I want to resonate with all of you on this presentation. Stress testing during COVID-19, right? Companies have seen the COVID-19 scenario as the perfect testing ground, unintentionally perhaps, but it's there to really see how strong their relationships are with their existing vendors, okay? People are gonna start changing vendors. Now, like every business out there, I've been talking to my vendors going, help, can you help us out? Can you delay this payment? Help, LinkedIn Navigator, can you delay this payment? Help, Lucia, can you give us, 1 month's grace on this? Help, vendor, can you delay my phone costs just for 1 month and split it out? Because as much as I know I've got money in the bank, I don't know how long this crisis is going to go for. So I need to make sure I've got flexibility in that. Now, 99% of my vendors were fantastic. My vendors and suppliers helped me out significantly, right? Now, I'm going to be sticking with those suppliers indefinitely into the future, given the amount of support they've given me. Now, I've had a couple of suppliers that were a little bit funky. Understand we have invoices that need paying and they need to be paid, but some flexibility is also nice to have, and really just, even if it's not around payment, I've helped clients out with things. I've added extra days to campaigns. I've spent more time on campaigns than perhaps I should have done, and given people flexibility with payments to help during this. So I think for me, what I've noticed is the individuals where I've gone, God, wow, what have I done? I've given them an extra 30 days to pay their bills, and now they're going to run, or they're going to not pay. They're going to think they're going to get 30 days on their future work. As a business owner, you've got to be careful with those things such as price and payment terms. However, what I've noticed with two of my clients is they've recently decided to extend their contracts with us, and guess what? They've just paid me up front, which aren't in our terms. We usually give people a bit more time to pay. They've paid us up front for the whole project. So that's so when you look at stress testing, companies now more than ever are going to be looking at changing vendors. Again, another opportunity for anyone that's in sales to get out there, get on the phone and start talking to people. Just ask how people are. How are you? What challenges are you experiencing at the moment? Talk about this and how you finding your existing vendors with cloud, etc. If there's one thing you would change, what would that be? And all that sort of stuff, right? Just have normal conversations, human conversations with your prospect market, and find out how they are, and find out what they need help with, right? Or more off, just letting them know that you're there with a personal touch point, and how their families. People are more open to talking about their family and kids right now. Why is that now? Probably because they're at home and they're around them all the time. But people just are a little bit more open in terms of talking, because they're not getting as much human touch as they used to in lockdown. And I know that's sort of changing in Australia at the moment, but people are certainly open to talking, and a lot of people are still worried and scared of what's happening out there. So just talk to people, and the same factors, still lies in business, in my opinion. People aren't looking for friends. They are looking for solutions to their problems. So focus on that, and start generating more business, right? But one thing that with your existing vendors, and the reasons why they would be looking to change is perhaps they've had lack of flexibility. The responsiveness of those vendors during emergency situations like telcos going out and that sort of stuff. Scalability, support of different vendors. Does this vendor support this particular vendor, or does this vendor support this particular plugin, and that sort of stuff, and how open they are to change. being much more open-minded to changing legacy deals when it was status quo, but no motivation to reevaluate price and value during the hard times. So it was all when things were great, your vendors like, yeah, sure, what do you want? More than happy to help. And then when things go wrong, it's like, well, hang on a minute, no, well, we're shutting up our bank account now, so pay us. So there's different ways to manage and handle your vendors, right? But definitely get out there and talk to your prospects, talk to your clients. Definitely talk to new prospects out there that are maybe using competitive products of yours, and you might be surprised. Okay. So I already gave you the example of my clients that contacted me for extended payment terms, and how that's just a perfect example of how they're now spending more money on me and they're paying up front, which I never thought they'd do in a million years. So that's how thankful they are that I was open to them while they were struggling. And now that they're doing well, they've helped me. I know I've given this example a couple of times, but I just bought a house in the Philippines. We put a holding check down. The whole was only a small holding check, but still a few thousand Australian dollars. We sort of sat there. We thought about what the best option would be, just as the COVID-19 hit. We've had banks offering us ridiculous interest rates, really high rates for a mortgage. We've had the price of the price of the property was too high originally. Well, great when it was growing, but now that things are starting to go down. So we've had a massive opportunity and purchasing power to negotiate that. Right. So we've negotiated with one bank that offered us a few more basis points. So we went with them, whereas the other bank refused. And the owner of the property was good enough to lower the price a little bit to give us a bit more freedom on that as well. So we haven't moved forward with it yet. We're still in the thinking phase, but we're pretty much there in terms of what we want to do in the next steps. All right. So yeah, get out there and talk to your vendors. Talk to your clients and your prospects, because I'm telling you now, there's a chance a lot of them may be looking at changing their vendors, right? For price reasons, cost reasons, relationship reasons. These types of situations do bring out some of the negativities out of the cracks that were maybe there before, but times were good, so they were kind of left hidden away. All right, moving on. You need to get the first mover advantage. Okay, now guys, I'm going to pause us for a second because I've lost the I want to bring up the questions again, so I just want to see if there's any. Sorry, give me a sec. Okay, no questions at this moment in time, so let's continue. Okay, now you need to get, as I mentioned before, the first mover advantage. Okay, you need to be ready for when the economy bounces back, because it will bounce back, right? Some of you may have already seen it. Others of you may have never seen a change, right? But most of us have seen a bit of negativity in that, right? But when it is ripe for the picking, you need to be ready. Otherwise, your competitors will harvest the crop before you get it. I'm telling you now, right, that they will. As I've mentioned before, sales cycles within the enterprise tech space are on average between 90 to 120 days, depending on what you're selling and that sort of stuff. If you do not start ASAP, you will miss the growth spurt. And B, you will run out of pipe to sustain your business and sales team. That's what it's all about. It's about pipe build, right? And like I said, whether you get your pipe from channel, from your own SDR rep, from, an external lead generation company, right? It doesn't matter. Or you generate your own pipe as a sales rep, or you're a sales director or you're a business owner and you've got a team doing it. It doesn't matter where you've got to keep doing it, and you've got to keep doing net new as well. You can't close off that channel, and you've got to make sure you keep building up your prospect network. You keep doing more marketing reach outs. Yes, I know it was a bit of a bombardment at the start of COVID, but you still need to let people know that you're there and you exist, right? The worst thing is you disappear for 3 months and go, oh, we'll just wait for this to blow over and, hide under a rug. And then when companies are ready to go, they're like, oh yeah, what was the name of that great cloud vendor that we were talking about? And they had this really great service that helped integrate Salesforce with our VoIP system. Oh God, what was it? Oh, I forgot them, because we haven't heard from them in 3 months, right? As opposed to them getting an email off you every week or every couple of weeks, just telling them a bit about you, or just a phone call saying, hey, hey, how you going? What have you been up to? That's really important. They need to, especially during these times, because all they're going to do is go to Google or go to another email one of your competitors sent and go, I can't remember who that provider was. Let's talk to someone else. Happens to me all the time. Happens to me even when I do communicate and send out stuff, right? Sometimes it's all about timing. A friend of mine that wanted to use me years ago, you know, we were ready to move forwards. We put things on hold. I asked him, you know, is it price? Is it because I don't know paper legal? Or, you know, he's like, no, no, no. And then later on, he hired a marketing manager that had a relationship with one of my competitors. And I didn't stay in touch with this individual. I was too busy on other things. And as a result of that, the marketing manager that he hired went with his friend's relationship company. And when I called him up to see how he was 3 months later, he's like, oh, you know, we've hired someone and looks like apologies. We haven't heard from you in a while, Matt. We've gone for a competitor of ours, and based on the fact that the person that I hired, the marketing person, was, and so on. So if I jumped in earlier, I could have probably had a relationship with that marketing manager and got in early. So yeah, so get on the phone, talk to people, right? Really, really important. Okay. Now, some personal examples. In the last 2 weeks, I've seen some of the largest technology vendors starting to come out the cracks and schedule events, even face to face, for August onwards. Okay, that's really exciting, right? That means people are they're starting to realize. Okay, so now we need to get things moving, right? You know, my clients are now accepting meetings in July onwards for new business. My clients where I'm doing lead generation for, so where I'm talking to prospects, or my team are talking to prospects, they're open. Their prospects are open to conversations in July onwards as well. So we're setting up webinars, we're setting up, you know, meetings, calls, we're finding out where their challenges are. You know, what is it looking at? Are they migrating to the cloud? Are they doing DR to the cloud? Are they looking at cyber security? Are they looking at integration? What is it? What does their roadmap look like? Yes, it's on hold, but when will it come off hold? Get that intelligence before your competitor does, all right? Really, really important, okay? Okay, moving on. Okay, guys, so we're coming to the end of the presentation. I wanted to keep it nice and short, so if anyone has any questions, you can, yeah, feel free to start asking shortly. I'll just wrap it up and do a bit of a conclusion on what we've learned. Now, I haven't put too much stuff in on, you know, why, I guess, the dynamics, you know, what's the magic to to picking up the phone, doing some prospects and cold calling. If anyone wants any intelligence on that, I've got plenty of material. I'll send you all my ebook, which is around just my personal some of my personal tips on why and what you should do on how to generate new pipeline and the best strategies around that. So I guess you could always jump on my LinkedIn, and if you go on my LinkedIn, there's a whole bunch of articles around that. My goal today was to get everyone motivated and just to start thinking. I mean, look, some of you may be thinking, Matt, come on, isn't this common sense? And, you know, really, well, to be honest, you know, that's what we're doing already. And that's great, that's fine, right? Others may be looking at going, yeah, he's right. You know, let's start generating new pipeline, right? And when I say golden era, right, it's a bit of a weird thing to say, the golden era, but if you look back throughout history, some of us have never experienced a downturn before. There's plenty of millennials out there. This is their first one. You know, for me, my first one was a 2008 financial crisis, right? That only lasted 6 months, you know, in Australia anyway. And everything seemed like it was back to normal. We're in something very different now. In my opinion, guys, we've got this for a while. I do believe for all of us individuals that are selling online, that have cloud-based technologies or technologies that enable that sort of stuff, we're going to be okay. We're going for a bit of pain, and we will do for a while. In terms of new business, I think we're probably a month or two away before things start to improve, and maybe some of us seeing those improvements already. But we just need to get on the bandwagon, right? We need to start making calls and not sort of to sit there and just think things are going to get better and work will come to us. But it's because when the economy bounces back, I'm telling you now, we want to be there to grab it, right, when that opportunity gets thrown in front of us, okay? That's what I've been telling myself over the last few months. That's what I'm hearing off everyone. That's what I'm starting to see now, and that's why I'm believing it more and more. You know, we all have hope, right, when these things happen. Hope, and it's funny, it sounds like we've just gone through a movie, right, the pandemic movie, and, you know, everyone's talking about how hope, you know, it's good to have hope, but the reality is that hope has got us through this, but now that hope is converted into more of a reality, where it's like, well, hang on a minute, you know, people do need to start bouncing back, and yeah, wait a minute, people are getting more optimistic. Oh, wait a minute, you know, I just got there is this opportunity, and this person is looking at our technology now, that things are starting to get better internally, right? So things will get better, and we just got to make sure we're there to take action. So take action now. Jump on the wave at the right time, and make sure you surf that damn thing the whole way to shore, okay? Start mapping out your sales enablement plan, and start generating new business opportunities right now to ensure you grab a nice piece of the pie once the economy starts to fire its engines, right? Don't sit back and wait for things to happen, because it will only result in your competitors taking your business and reaping the rewards. I'm telling you now, we've got to be there. We've got to be talking to more people. We've got to get on the phone. If you're a sales rep, pick up that phone, right? I don't want to be sounding like I'm a wolf of Wall Street, but pick up that phone. If you're a business owner, pick up that phone. Get your staff to pick up your phone. If you're a sales team leader, you're a sales director, whatever, marketing manager, create the right content and get your team on the phone, right? And get your team actively working out. If you've got a strategy for digital marketing, get it up and running, okay? It's really important that we start. It's going to seem like we're firing blanks for a while, right? But eventually some of those blanks are going to make sense and we're going to start hitting the right targets, okay? But the sooner we start, right? Think about the time. What are we now? We're now January, February, March, April. April, May, right? It's nearly June, right? End of financial year, July, August. These should be the firing hot times in Australia, right? So if you're 3 months away from new pipeline, then you're looking at August, September until you start closing deals. And guess what? October, and then what happens in November? Melbourne Cup. Melbourne bloody Cup. Great day, fantastic, and hopefully it'll be here this year. But what happens during Melbourne Cup? Australia bloody shuts down, right? So any business owner out there is going, oh shit, now what? Now what do I do? No, get as much in as we possibly can, right? Or maybe they're selling out to other markets overseas as well. But the reality is when Christmas comes anywhere in the world, Australia just seems to be the exception that shuts down for like 2 or 3 months. The reality is January, February are pretty much write-offs. So your hot months, the hot months for us to sell, are slowly disappearing and weeping out. And some of us might even say 2020 is a write-off. I disagree in a lot of ways. I do believe there is an opportunity to reap some of that growth back. It may not be a write-off. It may be a smaller level of growth, or it may just be a break-even for a lot of us, right? But it's certainly going to be a learning curve. We're all going to learn a lot out of this. All right, guys, I'm going to stop nattering, and I'm going to open up the floor to anyone that wants to ask questions. So you should see a Zoom chat box, and if anyone wants to ask any questions, please, please go ahead, type the question. I'll try and unmute you, and if I can't, I'll just answer you as it is. But yeah, sure. If anyone has any questions, please go ahead and ask. All right, Matt, I'm going to try and unmute you. Give me a second. Okay. Hey, Matt, I just unmuted you. Sorry about the lack of notice. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. Apologies for the children in the background. Early morning here in Australia.
No
Matt,
worries.
I work in the travel industry. I've got a colleague on the call as well.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically working in managed travel, so travel management. Yeah. The challenge we have here at the moment is we have a number of we typically work across an enterprise style of organisation, normally with significant volumes of travel spend.
Yeah.
Sorry, let me rephrase. The challenge that we have is that a number of people are working from home. We're probably finding upwards of 50% of 50% of Australia's working from home. Yeah. We're probably limited in some of the contact numbers that we have. So we're challenged by going through receptions which are either not active, not available, refuse to give out mobile numbers because they're personal numbers, not work numbers. Mm-hmm. How would you suggest we overcome some of those initial gatekeepers that are putting up those roadblocks when we wouldn't normally have that challenge?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and it's something I personally, yeah, personally experienced over the last few months, and it's correct. So with many people working from home, and the quickness of what happened with COVID-19, Matt, it's funny that a lot of companies, even those large billion-dollar companies, were not ready and did not invest enough technology. So here's the first part of the problem. Some of those switchboards, it's not that they won't even transfer you; it's they can't transfer you, right? They're, oh, sorry, everyone's working from home, we can't transfer you, which is frustrating, right? And then they won't give you a mobile phone number because it's personal, and because they can't transfer you to that mobile, you're kind of stuck in that lurch. So my advice to that is, use marketing tools to your advantage. So I don't know if your team, and you probably do, use a tool called Lucia. So that's lusha.co. Lucia.co. I'll send it to you guys afterwards. In fact, I'll put it in the. It's a tool that integrates with LinkedIn, and it's work. This company out of Israel have worked out a way to somehow source mobile phone numbers. Now, I believe they're on the edge of the Data Protection Act. It is publicly available information. They do charge for it. They charge about, let's say it's 50 cents to find someone's mobile phone number, and it's not always accurate, but you can preview it in LinkedIn. But it's the only tool that I know that'll link into LinkedIn Navigator, and it'll get you mobile phone numbers, right? So there's a couple of things that are quite legit with finding individuals' phone numbers, and that's finding phone numbers that are publicly available. So using tools like Lucia, you need, if you're contacting a business owner or a C-level executive right now, you need to get them on their mobile phone, right? There are some landlines that are diverted, and I have found that to be the case. So always worth grabbing the landline if you can, and quite often I find that is in Lucia. So let's just say there's no phone number in Lucia. Let's just say switchboard won't transfer you, right? What I usually do is find another contact and speak with them, and ask them very nicely and tell them what the call's regarding, if they will give me the mobile phone number for that individual. That personally works well for me. Sometimes it depends on how you word it. But the reality is, yes, in this day and age, you need mobile phone numbers. And yeah, if the switchboard won't transfer you, use tools like lucia.co to find those mobile phone numbers. And if you can't get a number and you really want to speak to that individual, you've only got two options, and that's sending them an email or calling someone else to try and find a loop around. You've got to be careful with that. I mean, I used to have staff that would lie through their teeth and go, oh, is that Mark? No, it's James. Oh God, Mark, I must have the wrong number. You know, it's a bit cheeky, and they'll go, oh, do you have his mobile number handy? And you're sounding so friendly and happy that they'll just give you the mobile phone number, right? Does that make sense? Matt, you still there? Oh, I muted you again, didn't I? That's okay. All good. Oh, no, yeah, go ahead.
No, that does make sense. And I think I'll have a look at those tools and see if we can deploy those. Thanks.
Yeah, no worries at all. I'll just mute you again. Okay, and just further to that, Matt, yeah, it is, I do agree with you 100%. Unfortunately, yeah, there's a lot of companies out there that don't have correct working switchboards. Using Lucia, if you're not doing already, and other tools, utilize that. And yeah, just getting around that, you need mobile phone numbers, right? And then you just got to apply those tactics and sales to find them, okay? Does anyone else have any questions? Also, I won't hear you, so you just need to write a message on the Zoom chat. All right, gents, we'll sign off now. Look, I hope it was useful to everyone. I will send everyone the slides. I will also send you all a copy of my ebook to have a read on prospecting and cold calling. And there's a couple of other articles I'll include in there as well for you to read. But look, if anyone's got any questions or wants to reach out to me directly, feel free to. I do make a lot of calls. I make between sort of 30 and 40, 50 calls a day. Right now, I'm doing two people's jobs, so I'm making about 100 a day, which is draining the hell out of me, but it is what it is, and I'm learning a lot from it. So yeah, thank you very much, and enjoy, everyone, and thanks for your donations. I'll be donating that to cancer research the second the money comes through into my account. So I do appreciate that. I never really ask for payment for profit from these events. I merely ask for small donations to go somewhere handy. And sometimes we donate to, in the Philippines, there's this charity that help there's children that are in poverty and help with the issues with bent feet, I forget the name, and twisted mouths, which is a really bad thing when you with birth defects here. So yeah, this time we'll do cancer research again. So really appreciate your time, and have a great day, everyone.